What's up guys? Welcome back. Wow. It has been a minute, and it has been a very intense minute. If you guys have been following my journey over the weekend on Instagram, you know what we've been through. I will get into it and everything as we go, but I wanted to do just a gorgeous face of makeup today with some really beautiful, like easy to use, dewy textures and like pretty makeup that's gonna be like natural looking, healthy looking, not super like done to death, hopefully. That's what I'm going for today. So I have some stuff that I have been meaning to try on camera for you guys. One is a recommendation from Ingrid. This was the Beauty Blur Primer and Tinted Face Moisturizer. I think I'm gonna layer them, I'm not sure. This is the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer Light Revealer, the new one that I wanted to share with you guys. I'm not sure if I've used it on camera yet. If I have, we're gonna do it again. And then I got this. They've got a new packaging thing on here. I love this. This is the new, is it a new color or did they re-release the color? I don't know. I haven't really kept up that well, but this is the Baby Cheeks in Mimi from Westman Atelier. Ever since I used this color for the first time, I like can't stop thinking about it. It's so pretty. Incredibly excited to use one blush today, and I think I'll include some other Westman Atelier stuff that I haven't touched in a while. And then also, I have these. These are the new Infinity Waterproof Eyeshadow Sticks from Thrive. Not to be confused with the Brilliant Eye Brighteners, but we're gonna unpack that. I've always liked the Brilliant Eye Brighteners. These are apparently different. And I got all 4 shades here. And I'm also going to actually do my skin prep for you guys because I really want everything to be fresh looking. So let's go ahead and jump in, guys. Oh my goodness. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to be using for skin prep for me has just been an opportunity for me to test drive different formulas lately. It's fun, you know? It's like not very high stakes, but I can finally talk about this. This is the new After Balm, B-A-U-M-E, from Glossier. It is really the perfect time of year for them to be releasing this. So this is like their super occlusive, the one that I've been kind of alluding to, moisturizer that is supposed to be like a skin savior essentially. And at least for memory's sake, what it reminds me of is the European Nivea in the tin. You know, it's just like really intensely occlusive. Snow covers the ground outside right now. I definitely am in my skin's most difficult season right now because it just lacks a lot of its own hydration, and it's artificial heat, you know, being pumped into my house all the time. We got Simon a cool air humidifier, but we haven't sprung for one for ourselves yet. So, oh my goodness, that's the really gorgeous glow that is left on the skin, and it sticks around. That's what's so great about this, is it kind of acts like a mask. It's just a really wonderful last step before you go to bed. Or, I mean, yes, it's going to change the behavior of makeup. Like, just understand that if you're testing a new foundation or something and you put this on, it's going to make it have less wear time probably, because it's just so darn dewy. Like, it's incredible stuff, but you can like feel the tackiness to it. So it does have like a primerness to it too. Just use less probably during the day. Use it on hands, use it on everything. It feels so good. And then I'm going to use, God, this is almost empty. I did already buy another one. I have a backup, but this is my Tula Mineral Magic Oil-Free Mineral Sunscreen Fluid. This is the first sunscreen in a very long time, especially a mineral sunscreen, that I have loved enough to like repurchase. I just enjoy it so much. It's such a good formula. Very effective. Not as glowy as the glow screen from Supergoop. Not as golden, but it does have a nice blurring effect to it. I think I'm gonna be overdoing it today. Doing it on kind of low coverage blurring products versus actual complexion products, but we're just going to push the outer limits of that today. Oh my goodness, it's so warm in this room. Let's let some wildlife in, shall we? Let's open this window. Oh, bless. Oh, you know, it's like 15 degrees outside and like 85 in here, so maybe it'll equal out. You guys will hear some caw-caw, some nature sounds. It is at least a beautiful sunny day. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to use is this Vita Liberata Beauty Blur. This is such a confusing little product because it seems like everywhere I went to buy it, they had like a different idea of what the shade range was. And it's not really intended to be a foundation, so they don't have like a full shade range. It's more kind of like a Fenty body sauce type product. But I ended up going with, what did I get? Latte Light Medium. And it just adds a nice amount of glow and a little tiny bit of tan. I'm not totally sure that I need, you know, more complexion after that, but I will go in with just a little bit of this. So yeah, this is the Tinted Moisturizer Light Revealer from Mercier. I got it in 0W1 Pearl. And this has been one of my favorite things to wear lately. I really enjoy the coverage level. They all rolled off my desk and I did nothing to stop them. So I'm gonna just do a little bit of that. Uh-oh. There's glitter. I don't know why I'm surprised by that. My last video, just swatching glitters all over my face, was guaranteed to result in that. Oh my goodness. So that's just, you know, in an effort to make sure that I don't end up with so much slippiness on my face, I'm applying probably like a quarter of what I would of any of these products just in order to put each one on, you know, and not end up with 4 layers. That's kind of the combo today. Nice, pretty, dewy, but also there are silicones in the Beauty Blur and also in the Mercier. And so while that looks really nice and dewy, it is gonna like set down. It's not super sludgy. Wow, okay, so pulling out an oldie but a goodie that I have not used in such a long time. I still have the same one. It doesn't smell bad or anything, you know, yet, but this is my little almost used up Westman Atelier, what do they call this thing? Vital Skin Foundation Stick in Atelier 0. And you know, you just kind of like go in and out of use with things like this. It's not like it, you know, fell out of favor in any way. It just got eclipsed by other things and you can only wear so much makeup per day kind of thing. And so I did end up putting it away for a while. I think people just got tired of like hearing about a $68 foundation stick after a while, but it really is a phenomenal product. It's so flexible. But I mean, you know, you don't need to go, I'm not sure how it comes out pound for pound though, how it shakes out. Because I'm still burning through that Bare Minerals concealer stick. And honestly, if you multiplied it out by how much product you get, they might be pretty similar. Like I wanted to say it was a better value, but I don't actually know. But I think that what I like about this is just, it's kind of like the Sneaky Balm, except it's a little bit more matte. So it just blends right into my skin. I can use it exactly where I need it and I don't feel like I have to do too much work to blend it in because it just kind of disappears, you know? It is so much brighter on this side of my face. I'm gonna turn that light down because we have so much light coming through the window. All right, let's go in with some bronzer. It is technically a contour, but this is the Face Trace stick from Westman Atelier. And it is just one of the best formulas. Oddly enough, man, the thing that compelled me to try them the very first time was Tati. You know, she was talking about them on her channel. She's like, this is a very, very expensive line. And it was supposed to just basically solve your routine in so few steps kind of thing. And I was just so impressed overall with the simplicity and like how someone had really managed to distill product formulas down to things that were such effective multitaskers. Because I mean, we're talking about something that I bought 3 years ago probably, which means that, you know, it's doubled its shelf life. Other than that, you know, other than putting myself at risk, they are just products that manage to stay in my routine. That doesn't mean that everything from Westman Atelier blows my mind. I did end up giving the iPods to my sister because that formula just didn't do it for me. It kind of picked up just as much as it built, kind of spread a little too easily and didn't give me the control that I wanted. And then their mascara, we all know. I found their mascara to be very disappointing, but if there's anything that I have learned through, especially like watching some of my like favorite creators' videos, is that mascara might be the most personal thing in your routine. I really do believe that like mascara performs so differently person to person, eyes to eyes, lashes to lashes, that it could be like a different mascara. Like I watch Kate the Great use, like she loves so many of them that I don't like, and she dislikes so many that I do like, and the way that we describe them is so different from each other that I'm like, I really feel like because of our body chemistries, we might as well be using different mascaras. So yeah, I think that like my opinion obviously, you know, still stands, but there are plenty of people who love that $62 mascara from Westman Atelier. Trying to make sure my blending is good here. Yeah, if for any reason you're looking at this by the end of this video and you're like, you didn't blend this or you didn't blend that, it's because I'm really experimenting with my lighting here, and I actually am, at the cost of my own ability to see exactly what I'm doing, I'm trying to like make it look a little bit more natural in here and not so blown out, but we'll see. Before we do any kind of bronzer, like, you know, warmer bronzer, I want you guys to be able to see like the trueness of this shade, Mimi. It is so subtly gorgeous. It reminds me, just kind of from memory, of the Makeup by Mario rose shade. So I mean, it's obviously not completely undupable, but it's very, very pretty. See how far we get with this. Oh, so yeah, if for any reason you like don't have Instagram or don't go on Instagram or don't follow me on Instagram or didn't keep up over the last weekend or whatever, there seems to be this stomach bug going around, like around the country. And of course things always spread faster at daycare. And so a lot of my friends with kids have had it, but a lot of my friends who don't have kids and don't even have kids in their lives have had it, and it is a knockdown, drag out experience. My kid got it Wednesday and came home, and we were just traumatized by that because watching your kid be sick is really, really hard. And he was up at night, which made us very, very tired, obviously, sleep deprived. And Friday, around 11 a.m., started to feel a little bit queasy, and I was like, oh, I knew exactly what was about to happen, and it happened. And then my mother-in-law got it that night, and then my husband got it the next day, and then Grandpa got it the next day. Simon recovered, but was still having really a hard time like in his nights. It was just an absolutely relentless thing that refused to leave us alone through the whole weekend. So fortunately he was well, like long before, like good 48 hours before he had to go back to daycare on Monday, but it just absolutely wiped us out. It completely like killed any plans we had for Valentine's Day and stuff like that. I mean, we just were wiped. I spent most of the day yesterday in bed just basically like forcing myself to sit still, because every time I would kind of get up to try and do chores or something, just try and play any kind of catch up, I would just get a little bit like nauseous again, and it was just, I just had to sit down. So I have just been trying to play it safe and low key and just listen to my body, I guess you could say. I've been doing some like breathwork meditations and stuff. Okay, so that is the Mimi blush. That's what we call my mom too. Now that she's a grandma, she wanted to be called Mimi. So that makes me even happier. I am gonna go in now with a little bit of the Makeup by Mario bronzer. Just richen that up a little tiny bit, kind of on the outer half of my cheeks there. And while I like that concealer situation, I think I probably will end up going in with a little bit more, but I want to do the eyeshadows first. I just need to know. So I've experimented, sorry, I'm picking these up with my monkey toes right now. I've experimented with these a little bit, but not every shade. And something that I did find when I was swatching these is that they are different from the Brilliant Eye Brighteners in the sense that I feel like because they claim to be waterproof, they have a strange behavior on the skin that's taking a little bit of getting used to for me. It's that they kind of manipulate, but then they dry down. And it's like when they do manipulate, they kind of want to pick all the way up. It's hard to get them to just blend in a sheer wash. And then when they dry down, they're not really movable and they have a hard time feathering at the edges. But you can see that they've gone with a couple of different textures here. and they are in just really, really beautiful shades. Very, you know, what I would consider to be very wearable shades for a lot of different people. So this very fair, kind of like rosy beige right here that does look a lot like a Brilliant Eye Brightener. Kind of looks like Stella, but it's called Nikki. This matte tan color right here is called Gailon, G-A-I-L-O-N. I could be saying that wrong. The deepest kind of iridescent chocolate right here is called Rishi or Rihi, I'm not sure, R-I-J-I. And the last one here is called Dr. Q, but they've already dried down. I'm just like scraping them off of my skin. I'm gonna start with the lighter one, and they do come with their little sharpener in there, and then also a little, oh, you know what I mean, the little spongy blender guy. I'm going to try and not use that just because I feel like it does pick up too much product. I'm just gonna try and use my fingers. All right, so again, this is Nikki. And I'm not sure whether this is going to be the new Brilliant Eye Brightener formula. You know, whether they're kind of trying to turn it into more of a marquee, like, eyeshadow line. I never found the Brilliant Eye Brighteners to fall short in that respect anyway, but we'll see. They have kind of a nice, like, oily texture that's different from the Brilliant Eye Brighteners. So the Brilliant Eye Brighteners are very, very silicone-y feeling. It's kind of hard to demonstrate, you just have to touch them, but they feel almost kind of like a dry dimethicone. And this has a really nice, like, emollient, occlusive sort of feeling to it. And I will say, that was really easy, and I think that it looks really nice, and that's because it's very low contrast with my skin. Trying to use Rishi, it was a little harder just because it is so much darker than my natural skin tone. So it's like a one and done. That's really, really beautiful. You guys know I'm not much of a one and done gal. I like a little more impact than that. So let's see what happens when I try and do kind of a smoky situation, layering them with Dr. Q. I'm using Dr. Q just because I really like the undertone on this. It's like a really nice natural gold for me. Wow. It behaves entirely different on the eyes, differently, than it did on the back of my hand trying to blend these out. I think it's because there's a little bit of slip from the makeup I already have on my skin. Because these do have that dry down to them, and so they are going to have a limited time in terms of manipulation on the skin. It bears repeating. I would recommend using your fingers versus the little sponge, because the sponge, you can't tell when the product's drying down or as it's drying down. Does that make sense? You need kind of the tactile awareness to make them work. And that was sort of what I did wrong, I think, the first time, where I was picking up too much product and everything, is because when you have the sponge, you don't have like the sense of touch, right? Okay, we're going to go for the darkest one here, because that was the one that I kind of had the issue with. So I want to make sure that, you know, what I'm saying bears out. So again, this is Rishi. Okay, whatever, that's beautiful. I mean, it's not like once you get all this stuff layered on, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but man, it's fast. It is very, very different from the Brilliant Eye Brighteners. It very, very much commits, like you can feel it committing on the skin. It has a very distinct feeling, like this funky dry down. Okay, I can see that starting to get a little finicky, but there's still time. Okay, so that got a little bit finicky. I think the more you layer them, the more kind of delicate you have to be, or maybe the faster you have to be. I'm gonna do a little bit underneath my eyes too. I'm gonna mix that with Dr. Q. They're really interesting. They feel funny. There's like a little bit of that Denessa when you've put on a little bit too much of the color fix, where your eyelids want to stick to each other, but I think that it's gonna go away. So I'm gonna take a little bit more of Regi and use it as my eyeliner, because that's something that you really can't do with the Brilliant Eye Brighteners, just because they don't have the color impact. And sometimes you can feel it want to spread, and if it's starting to dry down more than that, you can kind of pat instead. I'm gonna try and pick up a little bit of it, see if I can manipulate it with a brush. Like, I'm not saying this is the most delicate operation that I've ever done. I still feel more comfortable using a powder eyeshadow, but I think that that's kind of to be understood, that it's like, okay, it's a new formula. I'm going to be more comfortable with something that I've used a lot before. And like I said, I've applied the sheer ones before, but I've never tried to do like a really, you know, contoured and playing with light and shadow kind of eye look with this. What do we think? I think that something that is a little bit of a drawback is just that when you have manipulated them to the point where you're kind of getting enough shape, it's still that issue that I had originally, which is you kind of lose the lovely shiny texture. So like, I kind of still want to like build that up and not spread it out, you know? Because that is possible. You know, you decide whether this is more or less work for you than what you would typically do. My right eye definitely looks a lot better than my left eye. What is happening? IDK guys. I still think I like the Brilliant Eye Brighteners better. So I'm gonna go grab a couple of them and fill in. Okay, so I grabbed anise here. Yeah. And it's this really nice kind of neutral taupe. It's got a lovely amount of shimmer to it, and I'm going to grab, because these stay movable kind of indefinitely, I'm gonna grab this little brush here from Sephora. This is the 18 brush, I wanna say. Yeah, the recommendation from one Miss Amanda Z. Just blur that. Like, I was okay with the lighter shades, but the rest of it I could have kind of taken or left. I wanna see what happens. Maybe this is suicidal, but like, this is the matte one. Guylon. Use that as kind of my, I guess it's not matte, it's just more matte than the other ones. Use that as kind of my warmth up here, because I want that to come forward. Yeah, I'm not really trying to create a particularly precise shape, and so I think that I can get away with that. I still feel like this is a big old mess. This is the kind of stuff I really hate editing, because it's just me trying to make something work, and I feel like it's just as tedious to watch as it is for me to try to do it. Try to do it. I don't know, guys. Okay, I'm gonna throw on brows and eyeliner and mascara and stuff, and then we will come back and I guess have a discussion. Yeah, there we go. Now I don't have to actually like see what I'm doing, so I can turn the light down a little bit, but yeah, that was really nowhere near as effortless as I was hoping for. So I did also go into my stash, take my little Kamiko moment here, my stash to find all of those shades that I was mentioning earlier that I want to swatch next to these just for reference. The other thing I wanted to do was finish with a lip here, and I really felt like this needed it needed a pop, it needed a berry lip. So I have not used this on camera yet. This is Mystic in the Lip Cushion Tinted Lip Luminizer from Causemetics. This feels like a Mindy Kaling shade, you know? Like, put this on deep skin. Not quite as easy for me to wear as some of the other shades in her collection. It's like the pigmentation is a little too high for that formula. Editing khaki here. I just wanted to show you guys that afterwards, I was editing and I saw the colors all together and I was like, I should have demoed Mimi on my lips because, oh my gosh. So yeah, this is the Westman Atelier Mimi. Used as a lipstick, and I just used a little bit of Buff from Fit Glow as my lip liner. And I mainly only did that because I got such a bad staining situation from the berry lip color that I was wearing before, so I just need a little more definition. I might not even need that next time, but like I am in love with how this color looks on my lips too. It is so subtle and gorgeous. Okay. Again, like I'm not loving this. I feel like I'm just gonna stop talking about that. Not every base of makeup is going to be my favorite. So the Mimi shade here, I'm going to swatch that. The first one that I really wanted to swatch it against was the Dusty Rose shade from Makeup by Mario. It just felt like they were gonna be similar, but it makes Mimi look almost like peachy nude in contrast. And then I have here Hope, which is the lightest of the shades from Rare Beauty's new release. And while still pinker, much more in the family of that level of opacity, just that like a pretty strong white backing. And I did also manage to unearth Petal. Would you believe it? I had just put it back into my blush drawer. It was where it belonged. So Petal is very, very similar to the other two. And you can see that Mimi, I feel like that really shows how unique a shade Mimi is. And the other thing that I wanted to do before giving you guys my final thoughts, just in case the waterproof eyeshadow sticks from Thrive are still more appealing to you than the Brilliant Eye Brighteners. Granted, if you're completely new to this concept, the Brilliant Eye Brighteners are much more akin to Laura Mercier Caviar sticks. Like it's all just kind of in that same family of like super silicone-y, not very prone to creasing, easy to manipulate kind of dry formula. Whereas this, like I said, is very emollient. It's a little bit sticky. It feels kind of like oily a little bit as you're working with it, and then it dries down and is like entirely budge proof, like freaky budge proof. But in case that's still really, really appealing to you, I wanted to swatch these against their kind of nearest kin in the Brilliant Eye Brighteners. Here we have Nikki, and I would say probably closest is Aurora. And then, you know, Miko is gonna be that really, really pale pink. It's not really the same. And then there's Stella, kind of the original shade that's sort of a champagne color. So then we have Dr. Q, which is decidedly, you can see bronzer and warmer than like Callie, Muna, and Anise. So that's Callie, Anise, and Muna right there. Guylon shade right here, that kind of matte khaki color. It's not akin to much. You would think it would be akin to Tara, but Tara's that pretty pink one right there. And then there's that very, very gold one, and that is called Gia. And then that deep brown, it just doesn't have a companion in the Brilliant Eye Brighteners. So there you have Regi, and this is Mink from Victoria Beckham, and then this is Orion from Vesca. Also kind of, actually, you know what it really reminds me of? I'm being bad because I'm just basically like bagging on a product here, but that horror show that was the Sephora charged up longwear liquid eyeshadow, oh yeah. Pretty much like the exact same feeling as the Regi shade. All right, so let's do final thoughts on this face of makeup that did not go at all how I expected it to, shall we? So I always envision a makeup look before I do it. I find that that's kind of the best way to make sure that I like the outcome, or at least I have something to compare it to in my brain. And I have kind of a whole painter's palette, right? Sitting over there in my stash of all of these different ideas from which to draw my inspiration. And so I wanted to just kind of challenge myself and do some really fun, pretty dewy textures today, but also try and make it very easy and effortless looking. Well, I feel like we got as far as right up to the eyes before things got not just effortful looking, but also very effortful in terms of the actual painstaking process. So I love this. It's a little bit different than the Fenty body sauce. Let's, I'll just swatch that like right here on the palm of my hand. Glowier, golder. Could easily be a nice mixer for my foundation, whereas body sauce is, while it has a nice silicone finish, it's very matte, as opposed to having like, you know, glitter or shimmer or reflective properties. It just doesn't have that, whereas the Vita Liberata does. So yeah, very, very different. I do really like it. I would wear it on its own, honestly, as like a foundation and just, you know, like a nice summertime, warm it up, really beautiful finish without kind of this much nonsense going on top of it. I think it would just be a beautiful, like, one and done skin finish kind of product. And that's what I think was hard for me to wrap my head around initially in buying it. I was like, where does that fit into my routine? It kind of is its own routine. As far as the new Tinted Moisturizer Light Revealer from Laura Mercier, I like this very much. It is, I would say, low to medium coverage, but it is very illuminating and perfecting. Like, it has kind of a blur to it that's really pleasant. I don't think that you need to use both of these the way that I did. And also, I didn't really use that much. I just kind of used it in the areas that I wanted a little bit of brightening, but it's just such a good tool to have. I love these kind of new formulas that are coming out that are kind of hybrid products of things that I would typically have achieved with a skin prep or a primer or like mixing my highlighter in before. Now they're just kind of like pre-done and they're very effective. And I think that this is very, very effective. And I bought this one as opposed to the other Laura Mercier skin tints because it is the first one that they took the octinoxate out of. You know, Westman Atelier, I feel like these little sticks are where they sing. A lot of their stuff is a little bit, you know, far-fetched for me as far as like where it's gonna fit into my routine or whether or not it actually makes my life easier. These actually make my life easier, and this color is just out of control. As you guys saw when I was swatching it against other things, like, do I think that this is everybody's shade? No. It has a lot of white backing to it, and so it does kind of remind me of, oh, I will not remember the name of it, but it has the similar nuance to it that like you get from like a Kierweiss blush, where you're like, oh, I don't know that color anywhere else, but you do have to be careful tiptoeing into the territory of like having a lot of opacity because it might go ashy on some skin tones. So definitely be careful there. You can probably tell by looking at that whether that's a shade that's gonna work for you or not, but my skin is basically translucent on its own, so it works very well for me. And I said it once, I'll say it again, I can't stop thinking about this color. It's just so pretty. And the way that it layers is so pretty. I do feel like I kind of overshadowed it with this lip color, but you know, the cheeks can't be the star every day. So I also really, really like the new gold cap because I am a magpie. And I kind of wondered why I hadn't been hearing anything about these. Typically, I get a lot of hype in my comments from people who are big Thrive fans. And I think if I just kind of postulate, it would be to say that a lot of times, like, you see a lot of hype about it, but you want my final word on it. You like want me to weigh in. And I feel like there hasn't really been any hype on these. And I think it's because the formula isn't very good. And they kind of shot themselves in the foot because this one is so good, the Brilliant Eye Brightener. So I'm kind of wondering like why we went this route. This is not an improvement on the Brilliant Eye Brighteners. As soon as I started working on top of these with the Brilliant Eye Brighteners, I was like, oh yeah, these are so easy. And they are in and of themselves an eyeshadow stick. I don't feel like they needed to go further to like impersonate an eyeshadow or make it more waterproof. These are very, very long wearing. They're very effective. And I don't want to like assume anybody's intention going into something like this. Obviously a lot of work went into developing these. There must have been a necessity for them, for something to be this waterproof, but it just is like, it surpasses my patience for a product like this. I want a stick. There's a fox. Oh guys. Foxy, foxy, fox. No, 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 no. Oh no. Oh. I tried so hard to get the fox for you guys. Your satisfaction is important to me. But yeah, as far as my job, setting aside my feelings and love for Thrive as a brand, I cannot in good conscience recommend these over other eyeshadows, other eyeshadow sticks, or even over the Brilliant Eye Brighteners. So it's a really good idea. I don't really know what I expected. I think I expected a longer wearing version of the Brilliant Eye Brighteners, but they're so different. They're a little bit emollient, oily, greasy feeling. They set down in like a scary permanent way. And I just find that they're a little bit too unforgiving, maybe a lot too unforgiving in kind of this weird sticky way, especially because as someone who is genuinely a fan of a powder eyeshadow, I will always come back to a powder eyeshadow. It's going to get me where I'm going. And there are so many amazing, lovely powder eyeshadow formulas out there. It's already a leap for me to reach for something that's supposed to make my life easier, but it is a different formula or a different delivery system. So it's like, it needs to actually make my life easier in order for me to reach for it over a brush and a powder eyeshadow, and that was not that for me. It really didn't it made my life harder. And I feel like the look that I got, like, I feel like we really had hope, you know what I mean? I was trying to keep my spirits up, but it just never really came together. I would definitely recommend the Brilliant Eye Brighteners over that, but especially just for what this was going for, it just wasn't it. So yeah. I hope that that is helpful for you guys. Hopefully you get the information that you came here for, save you some money, etc. But yeah, if you did find this valuable, give it a thumbs up, guys. If you want to keep hanging out with me on this channel, hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you guys did. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.